If we are against like okay, should we start? Good morning. My name is Professor of Denmark College in Pennsylvania, professor of history and Africana studies. This panel is about family planning, parenting, and reproductive health, part 2. We have 4 presentations. We will change the order of presentations because Professor Jen Sharon Akinyemi is at another panel and she will join us later. So we'll start with Queen Omolekulo and Sefiu Polajimi, both at the University of Lagos. The title of their presentation is Nigeria's Population Patterns, Family Nucleation, and the Challenges of Older Adults in Institutional Care, Insights from Old People's Homes in Lagos. So you have the floor. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I am Queen Omolekulo from the University of Lagos. I'm trying to share my screen, but I don't know what's going on. I'll be presenting on Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'll be presenting on Nigeria's population patterns, family nucleation, and the challenges of older adults in institutional care, insight from old people's homes in Lagos. And my colleagues will also join me in this presentation. So we'll start with the background of the study. As we all know that elderly population across the world is growing rapidly and Nigeria is not exempted from this issue. In 2016, the National Council on Aging reported that this demographic constitutes 3.1%. Demographic face a lot of challenges, which include loneliness, and lack of adequate care, which is further compounded by changing family structures and modernization. Is the primary source of care for supports when it's called care. However, with the current economic hardship,
we lost connection.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Please, have you been listening to everything I've been saying so far?
Yes, we have. Can continue. Yes, we can. We have. We can continue.
You were talking about the challenges Don't let
This population is facing a
we hear you.
All right. So as we all know that family remains the primary source of care for elderly people, yet the financial constraints, the high unemployment rates, and the Japa syndrome that is going on, thereby this leads the younger adults to make decision of placing most of these older adults in institutionalized care. However, amid all this, they face widespread of poverty, they lack family support, and the Nigerian government in 2021, at the FEC meeting, the former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, he introduced the national aging policy for older persons to ensure security, independence, and dignity of these elderly people. However, the implementation of this policy remains a challenge till date. Statement of the problem. Elders in nursing homes face numerous challenges, including financial constraints, inadequate staffing, and the stress of adjusting to new living arrangements. However, these issues can negatively impact their overall well-being and quality of life. Addressing these challenges requires a comprehensive approach that ensures adequate staffing, affordable long-term care, and improved living conditions. Therefore, this study focused on identifying and addressing the specific problems faced by older adults in both private and public institutional care. And the two institutional care that was used for this study, they are Only Family Home for the Elderly, Mushin, and Yaba Old People's Homes in Lagos. The overall objective of this study is to explore the problems and challenges faced by older adults in old people's home. And the specific objectives are as follows: to explore the experiences of older adults regarding financial constraints in old people's homes, to understand the role of family support and visits, in the well-being of older adults, and to investigate the perspectives of older adults on how staffing levels affect the care they receive in old people's homes. Brief literature review. According to Daramola 2019, Adisa 2019, and Oni Esele 2024, financial constraints is still a critical issue for older adults in nursing homes, which is further exacerbated by the insufficient pension scheme in Nigeria, with limited financial service and rising healthcare costs in Nigeria. Also, family support, as noted by Matthew and Judith 2019, family support and visitation are diminishing due to changing family structures, whereby we have the erosion of the extended family structure that is being replaced with the nuclear family structure. And this is impacting the emotional and social well-being of these older people in institutionalized setting in Nigeria. Also, Rebecca 2023 noticed that inadequate staffing in nursing homes contribute to substandard care, leading to issues such as bed sores, malnutrition, and caregivers burnout. And all this affects both the residents and the staff. Theoretical framework. Two theories were adopted for this study: modernization theory of aging and political theory of aging, and political economic theory of aging. Modernization theory of aging, which was developed by Donald Cowgill and Lowell Holmes in 1970s, posits that societal shifts from rural agrarian to urban industrial societies diminish the status of older adults. It also posits that this transition is marked by technological advancements, urbanization, and institutional changes that reduce traditional family support for the elderly. Also, older adults lose societal influence as economic and social roles shift away from extended family structures to more individualistic and urbanized settings. The political economic theory of aging. The political economic theory of aging posits how economic policies and social structures in Nigeria shape the well-being and economic security of older persons. It focuses on issues such as labor market participation. We all know that at older age, to even participate in the economy, it's a big challenge for old people, whereby we have the stereotypes, the ageism issue that they face. Then it also affects the pension system, social security, and healthcare policies. Majority of them lack health insurance. Then the political economic theory of aging also posits demographic shifts and policy interventions. that affect older adult financial stability, retirement patterns, and access to health care and long-term care services. Fola, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, Fola, go on, it's your turn. So my colleague will take up from here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you unmute?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you unmute yourself and speak?
Okay.
We are waiting for your second. Can you? Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, can I share my screen, sir? Is there a way I can share my screen?
Yes, you can share.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I'm trying to find that. Yes. Okay. I can't even find the share screen option here, but I'm going to continue from the methodology of the paper, which is we'll be looking at what design do we make use of, the data collection procedures, the total number of respondents that were interviewed at all. So first and foremost, for the design, we employed a descriptive research design with a case study approach, okay, which allowed us to gain insights, to gain a comprehensive understanding of the problems and challenges faced by older adults at the only family home for the elderly in Motion, Lagos. Also, the study was conducted at the Old People's Home, that's the study location, and a total of 15 respondents and staffs were interviewed in order to gather insights into the impact of the financial constraint, family support, and staffing level and so on and so forth there. The data was collected primarily through in-depth interviews using an interview guide that was tailored to the study's objectives. The interviews were conducted face-to-face with both administrative staff and residents of the institution. For the analysis, we made use of content analysis to analyze the qualitative data that were gathered from the interviews. While for ethical consideration, we ensured by maintaining confidentiality and anonymity of respondents throughout the research process. Informed consent was also obtained from all participants before their involvement, and they were assured of the use of their data solely for research purpose. Now, for the findings, like I said earlier, 15 respondents were interviewed, and the age range was between 27 to 85 years, because they include administrative staff in the elderly. 5 of them were administrative staff, while 10 were the elderly. And for the gender, 93% of those interviewed religion, we had 100% Christianity. Marriage, education, 53. 20% of them secondary education, while 26.7% just most of the administrative staff. Occupation, predominantly civil servants and traders, while for the location is Motion. Now, what are our findings? In terms of financial support, we had responses, okay, reports from families. Some pay for stay at that place by themselves. They pay to stay there, and then others rely on the institution. I have to wait for, unless Good Samaritan helps the elderly there. That was what, okay. And another said, the institution took me in and is responsible for my upkeep. See, brought in, and then they are responsible for her upkeep. And she accepts anything they give to her, whether money from their pockets or whether money from donors, or because according to her, she support. Support. And occasionally financial constraints when personal funds run out. That is, they experience financial constraints when they run out of money. For instance, in the response of one of the respondents, she said, my children pay for my stay and give me extra money. And despite this, I face financial constraints when their support is in. It helped them to bridge this gap. Now, what about, that's for the first objective, impact of family support and visits. We had mixed responses. Some received regular, while others lack and support. So we were able to get different responses. For instance, children support and visits have positively impacted me. They bring provisions and money. That is, they bring money to her while she's there. So, and for another person, she's my family emotionally. Not have that support. And from that's according to one of the staff there. She said a very few receive family support, financial and emotional support, which is very crucial for their well-being. So, and for another respondent, some families neglect responsibilities, affecting residents' happiness. So we had a mixed response there. From the elderly perspective, they made us to understand that some of them receive regular visits, while some of them do not, which was actually confirmed by the staff that there is adequate staffing. And this was reported by all respondents. And we were made to realize that there's no instances of shortage at all. They have the adequate.
1 minute left.
Their responses. For the
You have 1 minute.
Institutional home. Noted, sir.
You have 1 minute left.
And in assistance, and so on. And for the conclusion, the study review they face, being influenced by lack of family support, visits, and financial constraints. These are the major issues they face. And now terrain these individuals navigate. On a positive, the acknowledgement of.
Please conclude.
I'm concluding, sir. I said, on a positive note, the acknowledgement of sufficient staffing level and efficient routine in the institutional offer a glimmer of hope, providing a sense of security and reliability for the residents in the institution. Thank you for listening to us, sir.
Thank you very much. For the interest of time, we will do all the presentations, and then we will have the time for questions and answers. So we need to move to the next presentation, Family Bargaining and Marriage Market, the Role of African Culture, by Fadila Usman Kabir from the Nigerian Defense Academy, and Adeyinka Michael from the National Open University of Nigeria. So you have the floor.
Hi, Fadila, can you hear us?
Yes. Good morning, ma. Sir.
Okay.
Good morning.
Over to you. Kindly start your presentation.
You have 20 minutes.
Pardon?
Kindly start your presentation. We have 20 minutes.
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen.
Okay.
I think I'm having issues sharing it.
There's a share button on your Zoom. Kindly use that.
Can I start without sharing? Because it's giving me issues here. I don't know why.
You can start. You have just 20 minutes.
Actually, we need to do
Is the economic attraction of individuals in marriage market, and why do individuals married? Marriage market, which is the family, behavior, the family and the economic theory relations, and the economy of spouse selection as it relates to the African culture. The economic consideration of marriage, the economic consideration of married or what is a family? A family, a man and a woman that come together and share responsibility. Children, of the family, and the mother as a vice president, while the children are there. From the real norms of our culture and religion in Africa, where marriage people marry for the reason for beauty, for the financial benefits they get, the economic benefits they get. You tend to see that people today marry because they want to marry to a family who would bring financial benefits to them. The name, that's from both sides, the man and the woman. At the end of the day, this shared living and benefits which includes consumption of public goods, that is the house, the companionship, and the economy of skills are lost by Hello.
Hello, we hear you.
Okay. While economy is the science of scarcity and
Yeah, you are breaking the connection.
joint due to the limited resources. Choices are also available, and the decisions are about making choice given limited resources. Every decision in a family becomes an economic decision, and as choice is fundamental, is a fundamental aspect of every economic decision. Human wants are unlimited, but the resources are scarce, leading to the need for a scale of preference Hello. Hello.
Hello, now we hear you.
Okay. So the process of sponsor selection, it's similar all over African cultural perspectives. The theory is based on the gains of marriage, which depends on the agreements, the opportunities, and the gains in this marriage markets. Marriage have three main costs. One, to either go into the marriage or to opt out. This
We don't hear you.
children will, why if the children, will I be able to be post-marital benefit is
We don't hear you.
Can't hear you, Belinda.
directly be influenced by this economy. However, divorce is often to economic factors. Couples to create an economic surplus, and this economic reason play a significant role that is started, scarcity of these procedures, surplus and the competition, and the natural contribution, natural sexual selection. So the gains are determined by what expenses, division of labor, of considering cost and benefits of alternative causes of these actions. Many marriages decisions are predominantly done by love. labor, spouse labor from man, and man demanding spouse labor from a woman. A woman's theory of marriage expands on labor economics, considering wives and husbands as performing various labor services from each other. Equilibrium in the marriage market is achieved when demand for the spouse labor matches the supply for the spouse labor with a compensatory quasi-wage on the equilibrium prices. However, spouse labor encompasses the variety of tasks performed for the benefit of the spouse, such as childbearing, child rearing, the household chores, counseling, parental services, preparation, and homemaking. This is where division of labor comes in, and it is based on gender role and specification in this which is common in marriages. The base ability of marriage relates on the choices of individual making rather than rather than the intimacy. Sex is considered a unique commodity that is both demand drive and reproductive in nature. It is a transactional, follows market principles of supply and demand. Today, prostitution serves as a means of balancing supply and sex workers and demand for sexual actions. The prostitutes today make $1 million industry globally. In order for a market for a prostitute to exist, there must be a failure in the market. Therefore, the demand ensures that even in the absence of legal market, transaction occurs the preference of sex acts shifting towards economic heads of the family rather than the traditional head.
Your presentation has 7 more minutes.
Including Nigeria, are experiencing a rise in number of individuals who choose to remain single, but still desire to satisfy their sexual needs. And this has brought about breakups of marriage today, prostitution due to both from the husband and the wife sides. They are not committed to these marriages. You have a wife at home, or a husband at home, you have other women, sugar mommies, and other people to satisfy your sexual desire due to financial benefits or other benefits. Economic factors, especially during productive years, contribute to the increasing cases of these single parental, the prevalence of baby mamas and baby fathers today. And that is why a lot of people now prefer to stay unmarried and have the baby mommies and fathers. Others that are still in the marriage prefer to get sugar mommies and sugar daddies. While baby mamas and baby papas aims to have children, the sugar mommies and sugar daddies seeks companionship without the responsibility of parenthood. In all cases, financial transactions and expensive gifts are often involved. Educated women today may choose to remain single to prioritize their careers, believing that marriage would compress their professional fulfillment.
5 minutes left.
Men and women who engage in, pardon?
5 minutes
Hello?
left. You have 5 minutes left.
Men and women who engage in single parenthood seek sexual satisfaction and companionship without the commitment and association of marriage. These individuals view their biological needs as solely economic consideration, leading to them to opt for non-marital relationship. Logical considerations such as economic factors play a role in marriage market, but are not the sole determination of the factor. Social norms, institution, biasness, and a power-related heavily influence individual choices for marriage market. The narrative presented may be attractive or straightforward, but economic consideration of diverse. Diverse are trades conflicting preference over the price of what the trade can arise. Marital surplus can change over time due to various reasons. For example, one partner can want to start a relationship without someone else, increasing their outside options, play off, and potential, making marital surplus negative. Children growing up are leaving the nets, which desire the benefits from, say, the marriage. A person outside the option, payoff influence. High outside options payoff allows for a better deal without the marriage and large share of marital surplus. However, if the outside options play off becomes so large, divorce may occur and the marriage surplus disappears. The cost of divorce can implicate the marriage surplus. High divorce costs can result in a greater marital surplus, and the connection between economics and economic reasons applies in the institution of marriage and a long-term bilateral relationship. So in conclusion, marriage should create an economic surplus and compare to stay single or together or single. The context of family is rapidly changing in the development, and this has created new norms which we feel are normal. Spoil labor, family production, household chores, love, sex can be purchased in outside markets. So if we can get that, people believe that if you can get this outside marriage, there is no need to get married, which has deviated from our African culture. Children are the main product of marriage and can be obtained without marriage or a partner. Marriage is a means to maximize the individual welfare without constraint. Equilibrium is only reached when satisfaction is maximized and through the subject of constraint. Marriage may alter performance, making it different to achieve stable equilibrium. Many people find it difficult to accept the spousal labor as part of economic transactions. The availability of purchasing
One minute.
on the
1 minute left. So your time has expired. Now we go to the next presentation by Olusegun Olatunji. The title is Historicizing the Indigenous Methods of Affirming Child's Paternity Among the Yoruba. You have the floor.
Olusegun, are you there?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Okay, so you can go ahead with your presentation, please.
So I want to be sure, can you see my screen?
No.
Okay, just give me a second.
You have a maximum of 19 minutes.
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we see it.
Yes.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
We see it. Yes.
Uh, um, well, I am a PhD student and trying to put together my research. So I'll be talking this morning about one of the important topic right now, not about the historicizing the indigenous methods used after we look into that, we talk, okay, what about the family traditions that are being used before to confirm some? Then after that, particular child they have been raising, or if the child didn't belong to them. So some of these DNA testing platforms that are available online, whereby people get to confirm if a child belongs to them or not, is we have the DNA labs, we have the paternity testing, there are DNA forensic. And so these platforms are more or less in two ways. So there are some like the DNA labs and smart DNA that people mainly go to confirm the paternity of their children. So the moment they realize that these children don't belong to them, it more or less become a public discourse, whereby it gets to
It's back. All right. Thank you.
the time after conducting their going artist or not. So there are different cases of DNA testing that is happening currently in Nigeria. As it happens to probably the low profile, it also happened to public figures. His ex-wife, none of them belonged to him. So there's also a case on Instablog whereby a man tried, despite the fact that this man was more or less he found out that, oh, they gave birth to a child that was SS. So it also came to the public. Then there is recently the case of a man that got to know that 4 of his children, none of them actually belong to him. Now, to the main part of my presentation. Is that for me?
No, you can go. No, not you.
Okay. So coming to the main aspect of my presentation is that, okay, the issue of DNA testing has been, what about the paternity? My interview, I could deduct that Yoruba people actually have their own method whereby they conduct or they confirm if a child belongs to a particular faith or not. So from these family traditions, I was able to conduct for them to confirm if a child actually tradition, a snake must visit the moment the child with the child. People in Abeokuta, Oyo, and Ekiti, some of these family to some extent. Another authenticity of a child is some people that believe or that worship rivers, the goddess of the water. So when they give birth to a child like this, they take the child in a basket and put it on the water like this. So if this child is meant to be a legitimate baby that belongs to the family, it is expected that the river will take the child away and return the child back. But in a situation whereby the baby is a bastard, the water will never return the baby back to them. Then also, they are just like the people that worship snakes. There are also some other family in Oyo State that also believe that when a child is being given birth to, if that child originally belongs to the family, because they worship crocodiles, this crocodile will come around to play with the baby, and if the baby doesn't belong to the family, the same fate that actually the other baby's face will also befall this baby within the family. And last but not the least of the method I look into today is also the one and in some family whereby when they give birth to a child like this, it is expected that the baby and the mother carrying the baby was expected to run inside a house for 7 times while someone is pouring water on the roof. So if this child is meant to be a legitimate baby to that family, water wouldn't touch the child. In a situation whereby water touches the baby, then the mother has questions to answer. So some of these methods were what the indigenous people among the Yoruba people used to confirm the paternity of a child. But the question is that, okay, if this is so, what are the implications of this type of paternity or traditional DNA testing? Why suddenly did they stop using this method? Though, according to some of the studies or some of the findings available, they mostly believe that they stopped using this form of traditional method mostly because of traditions, because of religions and civilization. But on my own finding, talking to some of these people across different compound or different family among the Yoruba people, I was able to deduce that, well, stopping the use of this form of traditional method to confirm paternity of a child more or less has nothing to do with either civilization or religion, but because it has some implications for the society. And some of this implication is that this sort of method is more or less, it's endangered the child. And of course, it also creates some sort of discrimination. It causes gender inequality, and it also has some sort of ethical concern, not only for the child, but also for the women or the mother. And also, apart from that, I mean, there are also some sort of legal issues that it is being caused by this traditional method of confirming paternity of a child. It has more or less some obstacle to progress, psychological impact, and it also conflicts with the existing traditions, as well as it has some sort of health risk, not only to the baby, but also to the mother within the family. So, and because of this, I was able to deduce that this form of traditional method were being stopped, not because of religion or because of civilization, but because of its implications to the society. So by way of concluding this research, and of course, because my interest is in the pre-colonial Nigerian society, and recently when these cases of paternity DNA testing comes up, more or less there are some misuse of word when in the classification of whether it is paternity fraud, whether it is paternal discrepancies, or whether this is actually something strange. But the fact is that when we talk about when you talk about DNA or confirming the paternity of a child, it is actually nothing new to the Nigerian society at large, most especially the Yoruba people. The issue of paternity fraud, which is as old or which go back to the pre-colonial period, actually happens before we had a counter with the colonial authority. And what happened within that period was more or less nothing but paternity fraud. Paternity fraud because the only means of determining if a child belongs to a particular family is bride price. So in a situation whereby a family did not pay, or in a situation whereby a man did not pay a bride price on a woman, but had child out of wedlock, and another man came to marry such a woman, he is not only marrying the woman, but also claiming the child giving birth to at that particular period. So it was a known case that, oh, I am not the one that give birth to this child, but because I pay the bride price on the woman, and because it happens out of wedlock, the child automatically belongs to me. So that was the scenario until 1884, when the colonial authority came and made available the English law. So the English law complicated everything within this period and tried to stop the customary method of confirming the paternity of a child. And then we have the introduction of the terms such as paternity discrepancies, paternal ambiguity. And during the post-colonial period and to the present moment, the lack of clear law in this aspect resulted to the introduction of misattributed paternity, whereby people are free to use any method to actually clarify if a child belongs to them or not. So, as I said earlier, this is a developing study that I am still working on, and I am I'll be a second year PhD student by August, returning to school. So thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you. The last presentation will be by Jane Sharon Akinemi from Penn State University.
Okay. Hello. Please, I want to share my screen. Can you? Okay. Okay. Okay, my name is Jane Sharon Akinyemi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll be presenting a title, Prevalence of Disordered Eating and Menstrual Irregularities and Demographic Assessment of University-Aged Active Women. The active women will be interchanged with female athletes. So sometimes you hear me say female athletes instead of active women. The purpose of this study is to investigate the prevalence of disordered eating and menstrual irregularities in competitive Nigerian female university athletes, and to explore their demographics and improve and contribute to knowledge on eating behaviors of female athletes. Optimizing health and performance is to optimize nutrition. In other words, optimal nutrition is the most relevant aspect of an athlete's preparation for optimal health and performance. Excessive physical activity, that is overtraining or over-exercising, without a concomitant increase in appropriate dietary intake, can be associated with energy deficiency, which can disrupt the reproductive cycle and result in functional hypothalamic amenorrhea and oligomenorrhea in females. The professionalism and success of female sports has risen exponentially, and Nigeria has produced some of the most remarkable results in athletic events at world-class level. The proof is in the success stories as shown on my screen. We can see some of these female athletes whom some of us, I'm sure, will be familiar with. This is Blessing Oborududu. She is a wrestler, a female wrestler, and a Nigerian. She is doing remarkably well at world stage level. This is Chioma Ajunwa, one of the first that brought the Olympic gold medal to Nigeria. This is Blessing Okagbere. She is a sprinter. Mary Onyali Omagbemi is also a sprinter. And then Toby Amusa recently came to limelight. She is a 100-meter hurdle sprinter as well. Then we have the basketballer known as Nkechi Akashili. Yeah, she's also doing well. We have Ese Brume, who broke the 25 years record of Chioma Ajunwa in long jump. We also have Asisat Oshaola, who is a soccer player, and Ruth Usoro, a triple jumper. Now, a lot of studies have been going on, and studies are ongoing, still ongoing, showing a higher frequency of eating problems occurring in athletes than in non-athletes. So you find more of poor eating behaviors in athletes, among athletes, than non-athletes, particularly those who compete in some sports that emphasizes leanness and low body weight. And we have the gymnasts, the runners, the jumpers as well, being affected more in this situation. Now, this screen here, this study here is a research study that studied female athletes, specific dietary practices, and here we had in this study is a previous study of 1,000 female athletes. And you can see that out of this 1,000 female athletes that participated in this research, we have about 766 that reported no dietary preference at all. And then here we have 69 of the participants excluded from the reports. We have over 31 of them reporting being on diet. We have the 6 of them reporting pescatarian. Pescatarian are people who prefer to eat fish rather than meat. Then we have 30 of them reporting low dairy products and consumption, and then we have 19 of them gluten-free, 30 vegetarians, and 9 of them vegan, and then 40 of the participants reported low carbohydrate. Now, if this is not properly or adequately attended to, it could lead to a condition that we refer to as the female athlete triad. Now, what is the female athlete triad? Female athlete triad was first named in 1992, and the first position by American College of Sports Medicine was in 1997. The female athlete triad is an interrelated condition of energy deficiency with or without disordered eating, menstrual dysfunction, including amenorrhea and oligomenorrhea, poor bone mineral density, and osteoporosis. Now, each of these conditions can exist along a continuum of severity, ranging from mild and moderate subclinical health concerns to severe clinical outcomes, including eating disorder, functional hypothalamic amenorrhea, and oligomenorrhea, and osteoporosis. Now, a functional hypothalamic amenorrhea is a disorder that causes the absence of menstruation due to a suppression of the hypothalamic pituitary ovary axis. Meaning, at this point, what happens is because of lack of adequate fueling by the athletes, they are not eating adequately, they are not feeding well, they are not refueling well. So what happens is the pituitary axis are being affected. So there's suppression of the hormones, the reproductive hormones are suppressed, the estrogen and the luteinizing hormones are being suppressed. And that leads to menstrual cycle irregularities. Now, with all this said, it is imperative to prioritize female athletes' health. And it's important to prioritize the health of female athletes at this juncture because they are prone to the triad condition. Now, the way to achieve this is by optimizing nutrition to have optimal health, for training to achieve optimal performance. Increase in physical activity without a commensurate increase in adequate food intake will lead to energy deficiency, and that can impair the reproductive cycle and result in functional hypothalamic amenorrhea in female athletes. There are conundrums in this process. There are challenges in achieving this optimal performance. Now, it is very obvious, as we can see, that there is a pull between the nutrition goals versus the training goals. However, athletes should be able to figure out methods to optimize their nutrition well before their training sessions in order to accomplish their performance goals. So athletes will require a lot of education from experts to be able to balance their nutrition goal and their training goal for optimal performance. And then this is achievable through understanding. They have to understand and also adapt to a nutrition and training plan that is most beneficial to them and to their health. And in the pursuit of female athletes' health, scientists they've tried to understand their health challenges, that's the health challenges of the female athletes, and how to package and frame those challenges for possible interventions. Owing to the particular need to close this research gap by studying female athletes who are from African countries, and because this particular group are noticeably absent in the triad literature. And that is why we decided to focus on Nigerian female athletes in this study. Now, the study protocol. This study was a cross-sectional, observational, and descriptive design study. We had the participants, about 71 female athletes, at the peak of a competition at the University of Lagos. They were purposely selected for this study. They gave their consent and they were evaluated. And then evaluation of disordered eating and menstrual irregularities was done using the health, exercise, and the nutrition survey. And also the complete blood count was also evaluated in this study. Now, the outcome. In the demographics, we have the mean age of the participant is 21.8. And we also found that from the responses that quite a sizable number of participants engaged in exercise 4 days at least per week, 4 days per week. And then we have the BMI of 22.5 and the menarche, that is the menarcheal age, which is the age at which they commenced menses or their period, is 12 years. And then gynecological age is 9.2 years. The complete blood count result is presented on the screen. As we can see, the red blood cell, the hemoglobin, the hematocrit, the white blood cell, and the platelets also presented there. Now, let's look at the components of the disordered eating and the menstrual irregularities. We found that there were significant percentage for the factors that were reflective of disordered eating and menstrual irregularity. Like 28% of these participants reported to be on low-fat diets, and 38% also reported to be dieting in order to lose weight and change their body composition. And 6.8 of those participants reported to have been overtraining. That is excessive training, excessive workout, overtraining. And then 3% reported being anorexic and bulimic. They are already having eating disorders as reported. And then for the menstrual health, menstrual irregularities, 19% reported to already being amenorrheic, that's having functional hypothalamic amenorrhea, and 15% reported being oligomenorrheic. And this is alarming because it wasn't something we expected, but that was what we saw. And in conclusion, a significant percentage showed factors reflective of poor energy intake and menstrual dysfunction. And this study is novel because the number of female athletes in the Nigerian university experiencing some aspect of this triad is significant and warrants further studies. And then the prevalence of factors that observed suggest the need to advance screening tools and education effort to optimize health, and also to provide information for future investigation into the triad among the Nigerian athletes. And it is very timely for us to look at this very study and close the research gap. The gap is wide. And with this research gap, we can look at funding and getting more fundings for research, which will really help a lot to populate the literature, and then to also be able to early enough detect athletes that are at risk already for the female athlete triad. So further studies is ongoing. We are doing a lot of work right now, and to really get into a lot of places like the National Sports Commission and the university games that are ongoing. And right now, I think the FASU game is coming up. So we're looking at getting participants from that competition. The FASU game, that's the All-African University Games. And then Africa as a whole, countries like Ghana, West African countries, and then other countries, and then even the third world countries in general. And also, we want to advance screening methods by doing more of randomized clinical trials or randomized control trials to be able to evaluate, to be able to measure the energy markers, the reproductive markers, and the bone markers, which will involve a lot of comprehensive questionnaires that have been validated over time. And then also to have bone scanning to be able to have that objective result concerning those who are already at risk. Also, information about the triad and the triad can also be disseminated like we are doing right now in this conference, at symposiums and social media. So we are really looking at a lot of things to do in this area to see how this can really go viral, this can go wide, because it is timely. We need to secure the health of our female athletes, and by extension, even the male athletes. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. These are wonderful presentations centered on family planning, the future of society, focusing on the children, the elderly, and showing what that needs to be done. So we don't have a lot of time, so I will just ask a few questions, and if in the audience we have people that can also intervene. So the first question is about concerning the first presentation, Nigeria's population patterns by Queen Omolekulo and CFO Folajimi. You did a wonderful job. You conducted these interviews, and you indicated the problems that the elderly are facing. The question is, did you also interview state officials? You have the floor. Is Queen Omolekulo still there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you go ahead, please?
Okay, please, can you come again with the question? I didn't hear you clearly, sir.
Yeah, the question is about whether you interviewed. The question is, did you thank you. Did you interview state officials who run these facilities?
No, we were not able to interview state officials because of the traffic challenges. Before we could even get ethics approval to go to public institutions, it was tough. So because of the time, we were not able to interview them.
Yeah, that will be the next step that you need to do so that you can understand why you have all these challenges, financial constraints and other challenges to complete your research.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful work.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Do we have any questions in the audience or online? Do you have any questions for the two presenters? No questions. Thank you very much. So we go to the second presentation, family bargaining, marriage, market, the role of African culture. And again, a fascinating paper showing the challenges to the family structure, which is the basic component of society, and how now love and sex can be found outside of marriage, and what to do about it. How the family structure is being destabilizing factor now in society. My question is, what are the perspectives for changing this situation where the family structure is being undermined by the behavior of the fathers and the mothers who are supposed to sustain it? Can the states do something about this situation?
Hello, sir?
Yes.
Can you please come again? I did not get the question.
Yes, you have described a situation of changing family structure, the choices that people make to find love and sex outside of their marriages. And the question is, what are the possible solutions to that what appears as a crisis?
First of all, I think we have to go back to our culture and religion, in the sense that people are marrying outside what our former cultures and religion teaches us due to today's development. Secondly, we have to, if the government can come in a way that if you are going to divorce a woman or a woman going to leave a man, there has to be certain conditions. If these conditions are put in place, I think there would be some sense of reasoning in both couple to think twice before opting out of this marriage. For example, I, as a Muslim, I know there is a condition in Islam where if peradventure a woman wants to divorce her husband, she has to return his dowry to him. If she returns his dowry to him, there is a condition that she has to go, she has to marry a wife to him. She has to provide every necessary financial need for him to marry another wife. With that, even if a woman has someone outside that she wants to divorce and go back to, she will think twice if she does not have the financial capability. And going by that, she will want to keep her marriage by all means.
Thank you very much for this research. That is very interesting. Do we have any questions online for this presentation? No? No questions. Thank you so very much. Now we go to the next, the third presentation about indigenous methods of paternity. And this is again a fascinating research showing the conditions that allowed society to be sure that children belong to their fathers. The oral Odile tradition with the fascinating tests using snake worshippers, and these are the techniques involving basket and crocodiles, fascinating materials. And the question I have for you is, now you said that in the, we had the 1884 English law, but now we don't have any law in place. The question is, how was the 1884 English law imposed on society, and how did people respond to it? What was done?
Thank you so much for that question, Professor. I mean, the 1884 laws imposed by the colonial authorities more or less changed the trajectory when it comes to the customary or the native law that were in place as it was then. And that was when we started hearing this name change from paternity fraud, because what happens in pre-colonial Nigerian society or among the Yoruba people at this particular time was nothing but paternity fraud based on how paternity of a child were being confirmed and based on who paid the bride price. It never matters whether they know that he never gave birth to that child, but because he was able to pay the bride price, he was able to claim the ownership of the child. Then the 1884 law totally changed that, whereby some of the cases awarded by the customary law, by the customary court, were being totally rescinded by the colonial authority when the 1884 law were being introduced. Then it changed that trajectory, so put in place some sort of discrepancies or misattributed paternity, and people that once their child were being given to another man started contesting those in colonial courts, and some of them were able to get back their children given to another family. And then in the contemporary period, there is really not a law in place, so to say, aside from the 2003 human rights law put in place by the Nigerian government. And it is only in legal issues whereby the case of paternity becomes something that could be taken to court. So aside from that, Nigerian government has not really fully interested in looking into the issue of paternity. Though recently people have started making suggestions, opinion that it should become something important, that even in a marriage, the moment a woman gets pregnant or before they give birth, paternity should be something compulsory to be conducted before they give birth in such a marriage.
Thank you very much for the fascinating research you are doing. I look forward to reading some of it. And now we go to the last presentation. Again, about athletes, female athletes, and a wonderful work that we have done with the women at the University of Lagos
Yeah.
Now, one question I have for you is how your fundings, do they apply also to athletes like Ethiopian ladies who have been performing for years at the Olympic Games and so on?
Okay, thank you for the question, Prof. Yes, and like I said towards the conclusion, trying to bridge the research gap. We are really looking, right now we are trying to do more of collaborations with other scholars in other countries, especially countries in Africa. As we speak, we already have a connection with Ethiopia. So we are looking at doing, running this kind of study in places like Ethiopia, places like South Africa, Ghana right now too. We are trying to move towards Ghana. We have a green light from Ghana. So this is a study that is very relevant for the time, and it is at this time, and we are looking at doing more of the studies, especially for African athletes, and then also now doing collaborative studies with other studies in the US, in Canada, and other areas where they have done quite a number of the same study. So we want to focus on third world countries. Even in America and in the developed countries, there are still areas where these studies need to be conducted, especially communities that are underserved and underrepresented communities.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And also the Kenyan female
Yes,
athletes.
and yes, we're also looking at Kenyan. Yeah, Kenyan, Ethiopia, and South Africa, and Ghana, and some other African countries. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the wonderful research you are doing. And that is really promising for the future of
Yeah.
African sports.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
So I invite you all to join me in thanking the panelists who did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Thank you, the technicians. Yeah, sorry that the internet did not perform.